Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Please bear with me. Today my voice is off, I have the flu. I just wanted to put this out really quick. After these photos, I'm going to be playing the press conference. You'll see my commentary on the screen. This is 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham missing, and she's been missing since Thursday the 15th. There's a lot of information going around about that, but that's going to come out later. This is the Amber Alert out of Livingston, Texas. This is the lovely gentleman that they will be speaking about in the press conference. They thought it was a great idea to let this dude move in with them and be alone with his child. So I'm going to be going over a few photos. There are text messages as well. That's Grandma and the guy and Audrii. I'm just incensed even speaking about this. I'm going to explain the previous conviction that he had and why he's not required to be on the registry, but in my opinion should. Just my opinion. But I'm going to explain the actual statute and the charge and what it meant. Alex Erickson has all of these text messages between him and the mother. You might want to check those out. Total setup in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to very briefly explain the previous charge and conviction that he had related to enticement of a child. Please bear with me on my voice. I am very sick with the flu, but I'm going to go ahead and put this out. As you can see here, 2017 he was convicted of enticing a child. That fell under a third-degree felony. You can see he has an extensive record, and as you can see, the mugshots, they just get worse and worse, right? Feel free to pause anywhere that you'd like to read this. You can see it is a third-degree felony, and I will go on to explain what that means right here. They do refer to this in the press conference, so I thought I would explain what it means. So I've seen a lot of people only bringing up section 25.04. I've highlighted all of it here. Enticing a child. There's A and B. So A says a person commits an offense if, with the intent to interfere with the lawful custody of a child younger than 18 years, he knowingly entices, persuades, or takes the child from the custody of the parent or guardian, or person standing in the stead of the parent or guardian of such child. Now, B is important. B, an offense under this section is a Class B misdemeanor unless it is shown on the trial of the offense that the actor, or the criminal, intended to commit a felony against the child, in which event an offense under this section is a felony of the third degree. So, again, feel free to pause and read that section. I will put the link to the statute down in the description box as well. His charge was a third-degree felony. He was like an inch away from having to register. What this means is he intended to commit a felony against a child, but it was stopped in some way. We don't know. I would love to see the actual court records. If anybody's local and can get those, please reach out. I will pay you for them if you can get them. So, again, people keep saying, oh, it was just, custodial interference. No, be applied because it was a felony, third-degree felony. But that's the only reason that he didn't have to register as a sex offender, because he didn't actually commit the act. So, I'm going to show you an email that I had, because it explains even better than I could. So again, feel free to pause and read this. So somebody had asked me, what it meant, and I'm just going to read what I put in the email because I think it makes it easier to explain it in layman's terms. So to explain better, the entice charge is layered A and B. B for more serious, with the intent to commit a felony upon the child. In this conviction, B applied because in addition to enticing, he also intended to commit a felony upon the child. That is what upped the enticement to a third-degree felony. There's no additional conviction for what he intended to do since it didn't happen, right? Like he was stopped, caught, prevented in some way, but they were able to prove he intended to do whatever that felony was. Does that explain it better for you guys? We don't know what that was. I would like to see the records on this, but we do know it was proven he was convicted of the intent. And that's, you know, I mean, come on, guys. Don't have to really be a rocket scientist to see what he's been up to in the past, and he seems to be devolving and still having access to children. And I'm sorry, but I'm not moving somebody onto my property in a camper in my backyard, as they're about to explain, unless you got a clean record. And even then, probably not. So coming up is the clip of the press conference on the mob crew. The link is below for the full video. Please go give him a like and support as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Craig Cummings, Texas Department of Public Safety. Today we're here to provide some updates on the search for 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham, who went missing on Thursday of last week. I'm also joined by Polk County Sheriff Byron Lyons and Polk County District Attorney Shelley Sitton. I want to say that investigators are following active leads based on tips and evidence that we have gathered. The videos submitted to investigators by the community have been very helpful. We're looking for and asking the public's help for additional video on FM 3126 that shows the highway. This video would have been on Thursday, February 15th, between 6:30 a.m. and 8 a.m. So again, that's video from FM 3126 on Thursday, February 15th, between 6:30 a.m. and 8 a.m. that shows the highway. I also want to announce the Polk County Crime Stoppers reward has been increased to $10,000 for information leading to the arrest and prosecution of the person responsible for Audrii's disappearance. We are asking the public, based on the evidence that we have been getting right now, to stay away from Scenic Loop FM 3277 unless you have a need to be there. That is a potential point of interest in this investigation. We've had a lot of people driving down there. Please stay away. Let the investigators do what they are doing and our volunteers what they are doing so that we can bring Audrii home. We also want to say that we're thankful for the Polk County District Attorney's Office for their continued legal advice as they provide that to investigators in this continued search for Audrii. The investigators have given McDougal, who was arrested Friday on an unrelated charge, several opportunities to cooperate, and we remain hopeful that he will begin helping in this case. Now, we also want to address some rumors that have been circulating. McDougal is not required to register as a sex offender. We would refer you to the various counties that prosecuted McDougal for inquiries regarding his criminal history. And we also want to say that McDougal resides in a camper behind the residence where Audrii lives with her father, grandparents, and other family. The family does have a relationship with McDougal. And with that, I want to turn it over to Polk County Sheriff Byron Lyons for some remarks for him before we open it up for questions.
Good afternoon. Since Audrii was reported missing, we have been working with investigators and volunteers, doing everything we can to bring Audrii home. Unfortunately, I've had bronchitis and it has impacted my ability to speak. So that is why I want to say first, thank you to the Department of Public Safety and to the FBI for assisting me with the social media and my media briefings. I also want to take a moment to thank all the investigators and the volunteers and members of the community who are working to bring Audrii home. The outpouring of support from the tips and from the videos and the donations of food and water has just been inspiring. As a community, as a county, as a state and a nation, the search for Audrii has brought out some of the most exceptional people that I have come to know. I have been in contact with the family, and they want everybody to know that they thank you and they appreciate all the prayers and how you've kept Audrii and them in your hearts. And they just ask that you continue to pray for them and Audrei's being able to bring her home. And I'd like to say thank you to everyone who has helped in this case. Any other questions?
Now that you're looking for where McDougal's vehicle was the morning that Audrii disappeared, are you able to confirm that he was the last person seen with her vehicle, that he was sent over to the bus stop? Can you confirm that?
He was probably taking her to the dropping off at the bus stop, and we do feel at this point that he was the last person who seen Audrii.
Did he do that regularly? Did he take her to the bus stop every day? Was that something that he routinely did?
There has been information found that there were some occasions that he did drop her off at the bus stop, or even take her to school if she missed the bus.
There's rumors flying about that McDougal has confessed. Would you address that rumor?
McDougal has not confessed. He has been talking with some of the investigators, but at this point in time, he has not confessed.
That scene of interest that you're asking the public to stay away from, can you expand on that? What was found there? What led you there? Why are you asking the public to stay away?
You know, and that's kind of why, one of the reasons that we're asking for the videos. We're trying to piece together a timeline of where he's been and the travel that he took, the roadways that he took. So this area is just one that's in particular that we can say that we know that he was in. And so we're making sure that we do extensive search of those areas. But the problem is that when we have a lot, and I know that people are concerned and people want to help, but a lot of time when we bring too many people into an area, it hinders our efforts in being able to try to find and locate evidence.
Do you guys know if that was Audrei's backpack that was found near the dam?
We feel strongly today that backpack that was found is a high probability that it's going to be Audrei's.
There's a lot of water around her home.
Sheriff, this has been called a criminal investigation, and that foul play is suspected. Could you expand on that? What crime is being investigated specifically, and could you expand on the foul play suspected?
Okay, yes, we do feel as though we are investigating a criminal investigation. And at this point in time, as we conduct our investigation, we are not leaving out or adding in any just charges. We are investigating the evidence as if we find any, and then we'll let that be determined, once we get all the evidence put together on what charges, if any, will be filed.
McDougal's 07 charge, 08 conviction for enticing a minor with intent to commit a felony out of resort county. The case information publicly accessible over the weekend and on a holiday is very limited on that. Was that felony intended a sex crime?
And be honest with you, I don't know. I can't answer that right now because it's in another county. The only thing that I've been able to find out that it was not something that they were able to require him to register for as a sex offender.
Have law enforcement taken McDougal to the dam or the Trinity River since he's been arrested?
There have been some occasions where, on one occasion where we have taken McDougal, that he agreed to work with us and has taken us to certain locations.
She lives around water. Have you checked the water around her house?
I was hoping to ask about the email that was sent to parents on Friday, letting them know about the disappearance and letting them know and asking them to provide video they were talking about. That email says that they could ask parents to look for video starting at 3 a.m. on Thursday. Is there a possibility that Audrii Cunningham could have disappeared sooner, before the 7 a.m., which was the time that she was reported?
No. And see, one of the things in our investigation, when we conduct investigation, we want to make sure that we try to capture a good timeline. So even if we're looking at a projected time, say if it's 7, we still want to go to back up, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, because we want to know exactly what the individual or suspects may have been doing up until that point. Someone asked about water around the house.
Around the house. So has that area been searched?
That-
Okay.
That was the first area on the night that she was reported missing. Volunteers came together with law enforcement. That was the first area the subdivision searched.
Sheriff, just to make sure I understand properly, so she didn't go missing before 7 a.m. She didn't.
No.
She didn't go missing
No.
before 7 a.m.
No, let me take that.
6:45.
6:45 is when we felt like she went missing.
Do you believe that Audrii is still alive?
I'm hoping and praying that she's still alive. I am not giving up hope that we'll be able to bring Audrii home. So, yes, I am hoping that she yet is still alive. And we're going to work just as hard to make sure that we do everything that we can to try to bring her home.
Sheriff, is there any other person of interest in this case?
Okay, we got a couple questions at a time. Right here.
McDougal being cooperative? Is he speaking with investigators? Is he not talking?
When you say is he being cooperative, I think that Mr. McDougal, he is what he's doing on occasions. He will, and I use that word cooperate lightly, but he is somewhat, working and talking with the investigators. But we are very cautious on the information that he's giving.
Are you guys
Sheriff,
able
do
to
you have
count on
any other
GPS?
persons of interest in this case?
I will say this, that there are, at this point, Mr. McDougal is our main person of interest, but we are not ruling out anyone else who may be or involved or may not be involved. We are not just honing in on just this one individual. We're making sure that we're covering all stones.
And do you anticipate charges being filed in connection to this case anytime soon?
I anticipate that if the evidence presents itself that proves that Mr. McDougal has committed an offense or crime, that charges will be filed in him in Polk County. So in speaking with the Rangers, we're just asking them, hey, take us to where, in any places that you think or where you may have been. And so he has done that on one occasion.
I think you hinted at the answer to this, but we've had a lot of community members approaching us saying they want to volunteer to help search. Is there a place for them in this search, or do you really need them to step back and let you guys do your job?
Okay, and kind of like I addressed in my opening statement, is that I am so grateful for those who have came out and volunteered, raised their hands to want to participate. And yes, the volunteers have been great and have been very valuable to us. But one of the things that we have to do is that we have to limit and we have to make sure that we don't overdo it. Because remember, we are yet still, while we try to bring Audrii home, we are yet still making sure that if there's evidence or if there's anything that we need to capture or anything that we need to be able to retain, we want to make sure that we don't have so many people that we damage or destroy evidence at the time. So the way we are today, we had the volunteers meeting over at Tigerville's Park. And then as we needed them, we would send an officer over to get those folks and then take them into an area to help search.
To follow up on his question regarding the location where McDougal took you and other authorities, could you share that location and
At this time right now, we don't want to share locations that he's taken us to, other than to say that there are multiple places of interest that we have gone to and have made searches, and I'm sure before this day is out, we'll be searching other locations.
Because he did
you
not
find
confess,
something
can you
there?
provide more context on why you take you to those places? What is he saying when he takes you there? Just, oh, this is where we drove? Or
And really, when it comes down to it, I wasn't there with those officers, and so I can't answer to exactly what was just said, other than these are just places that he instructed them to go.
Has McDougal made a claim that he dropped her off at the school bus?
No.
Was something recovered, Sheriff, from those locations? Is that where the backpack was found or other items were found?
The only thing at this point in time right now that I can speak to for sure is going to be that backpack.
So do you think he's given you false leads?
And that's the thing, is that we have to just continue to work all the leads that he's presenting to us. Whether or not they're false or not, it depends upon how it works out and how the investigators are able to put those pieces together.
Are you guys able to count with cell phone records, maybe like where he could be?
We are working with every tool made available to us, whether it be cell phone, whether it be video, which has been an awesome tool for us. We are using every tool made available to us to try to piece together a window or a picture of where he may have gone.
and I'm sorry, just to clarify, is he acknowledging that she never actually made it to the bus stop?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Just to clarify, is he acknowledging that she never actually made it to the bus stop?
At this time right now, he has not acknowledged that, whether or not she's made it, whether or not he dropped her off or she made it to the bus stop or not.
Has he admitted to leaving the house with her?
Yes.
Can you clarify that location where you're telling people to stay away from? It's called the scenic route. Is the name of it where it is?
It's off of the scenic loop. It's the Well, let me say this. It's in the scenic loop area there near Tigersville Park. If I say on national television, don't go to this specific location, kind of defeat my purpose. But I am saying that there are officers that's in the area who are instructing people or directing people away from those areas. Please work with those officers if they ask you to turn around or they ask you to go into another location while they would search those areas.
Sheriff, you mentioned that he admits to meeting with Audrii Cunningham, and now we know she's missing. What else do you need to charge him for a crime? Because the child is nowhere to be found.
Well, our thing is, and the district attorney's here, one of the things that we must do is that we must not jump to conclusions. We want to make sure that we take all the evidence that we have collected. Yes, he may have been the last person with her, and yes, she is missing at this time. But we want to make for sure that whatever evidence that we collect and that we place on an affidavit today is going to be something that's going to hold up in the court later. It does us no good to prematurely charge him now, and then 3-4 months from now it get tossed out of court because we were moving too fast. So I ask you, please understand as we work carefully through this, because Audrii deserves this. She deserves us taking our time. She deserves us making sure that we do it right. She deserves to have her voice to be heard. And I want to make for sure that we do that and we do it the right way.
Sheriff, one of the cell phone techniques is called geo-tracking. One of the cell phone techniques is called geo-tracking. Are y'all using geo-tracking?
I will say this, we are using every tool made available to us to be able to work cell phones and videos and video to be able to try to track his movements that morning.
Has any other person of interest come to fruition, and have they been eliminated?
There have been other persons that we have certainly have looked at, and at this point in time, we're not ruling anyone out. You know, at this point, we are still, it's an active investigation, and everybody's going to be looked at, everybody's going to be maintained until we can definitely say for sure either you are or you're not a party to this investigation.
What are the details about the aggravated assault charge that he's currently in jail for? Can you expand on that?
The details, what I can go to in on that was, it was an aggravated assault that took place August, I believe, and that in that investigation there were some, during that investigation, there was some circumstances that took place that would not allow us to be able to arrest him at that time, and he would not cooperate, would not basically lawyer it up, would not talk with the investigators. But on I think Saturday, Friday night, whichever night he was arrested, he did make the statement to that offense, which at that point in time he was arrested for.
What was the offense? What is he accused of doing in that case?
It was a aggravated assault. He assaulted another individual.
Male or female?
Male.
We've also heard that he has, obviously a violent criminal history. There's also rumors out there that he has affiliation with the Aryan Brotherhood. Are you able to confirm that?
We have heard those same things, and we've been told that there is an affiliation with the Aryan Brotherhood. Those are some things that we will come back after we are able to get Audrii located, and we will tie those things down to prove whether or not he's affiliated or not.
Are you guys doing an extensive search for any evidence in the house, the RV, the home itself?
Those things have been done. Yes, ma'am.
Time for 2 more questions.
Have you talked with Audrii's dad or family members?
Yes,
Are they cooperating?
very much so.
Can you expand a little bit more on the relationship between Audrii's family and him? I know you mentioned he lives in an RV on their property, but were they friends prior, anything like that?
And for this to be our last question, to answer your question is that basically the way it was explained to us is that he was a friend of the family, a friend of the father, and he was allowed to live there in a trailer behind the house, and he was a friend of the family's. And basically that's why he was there, allowed to live there. I appreciate what everyone has done. I appreciate your helping us get Audrii's story out there. And thank you so much for your diligence in this. And I ask you, as you continue to work with us and allow us to tell Audrii's story, allow us to work this investigation properly and understand when it doesn't go or doesn't appear to go the way that you feel it should, trust us that we're getting it done, and we're trying our best to do it the right way. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your service and your officer service.
Thank you.